So another thing you want to think about while you're writing this essay is structure. So structure is going to involve a few different things. It's going to be, where do you start the story? It's going to be, how do you keep the momentum and keep people's interest throughout the story? You don't want to confuse them by shifting in time without any sort of a explanation or signal. And then also choosing what to tell in detail versus what to kind of condense down and summarize. Because remember, a short period of time, so you have to be really intentional about picking the parts of your story that are going to have the most impact and choosing to put the details in those moments. So we'll talk in class about where you start the story and choices you can make there, but you want to start off with something attention getting. A lot of times when we're telling a story, if we do it all in chronological order, there's a lot of background information we need to give at the beginning to give context. But if you spend too much time on that, you're losing the reader's interest, because that's just information, it's not story. And so a really cool trick for that can be start in the middle of the story and then go back and fill in, how did you get to that moment? So you got their attention with the story, then you give them the background information along the way so that you've got that momentum going forward and you know you have their attention, instead of hitting them with a big information dump at the beginning and then losing their interest so that they aren't engaged for the rest of the story. Because so reading, people can choose to stop reading if they lose interest, and we're gonna have a reading this week that might make you do that. And if that's what happens, then you can say so and what made you react that way. But the thing you wanna keep in mind is that even listening, people sometimes lose interest and start thinking about other stuff. You want to be telling a story in a way that makes people want to keep listening. And so the way you choose to structure the story can have an impact on that. And then you want to make sure that you don't take too long a break from the forward momentum. So you may go back in time to fill in some information, but you might want to break that up into smaller pieces so that you can still have the overall story moving forward. And then also, if you're gonna switch back and forth in time, you want to make sure that you let the reader know that you have gone back in time or forward in time, instead of just changing time without letting them know. Because sometimes people can get lost. Wait, are we in the story from the beginning? Or wait, now we're in the past. Okay, how did you go from being 10 to being 5? You want to make sure that they're not asking questions and trying to figure out when it's said. Because as soon as they're doing that, they're out of the story, and then you're losing that emotional impact. So, and then one other thing is just going to be, some things you can summarize. You can condense a longer period of time into a few sentences if you want to. And you want to stick to telling in detail the stories that are going to have the most emotional impact. So those are the moments you want to tell in detail. And then maybe the connecting things between events, or even within the same event, summarize some pieces and then expand others for that emotional impact, in the sense that, if you're slowing down and explaining, here's how you were reacting in that moment, and these were the images that were flashing through your mind, or what you thought was about to happen, that kind of stuff, that's where you want to tell the detail, because that's where the emotional connection comes in. But a period of time where not much is happening, you can sometimes condense down to a shorter few sentences and stuff like that. So that also helps keep up your momentum, and it makes better use of the time that you have. So all of those kind of fall under the category of structuring a story. And so we'll talk a lot in class about how to make those decisions and how we react to different stories we've encountered that are structured well versus not as well. But this is just to get you thinking about this as you start planning your full draft to turn in this weekend.